and we've just been looking at the global stories that made it to different pages of our national dailies. And one of the things we're talking about this morning was the leading story in The Guardian that says, a journey in service, afterthought of the Maradona, say critics, as IBB shares June 12 blame.
Yeah, like I said, it's better late than never. I think now that he come out, to me, he should come out more fully than this. Instead of sharing the blame, he should take the responsibility because he was the president. And secondly, we have to learn some lessons from what happened in that place. The major reason why we had this problem was because the government was not, did not consult people. Rather, they took the Nigerians for granted. And this is one thing where you don't have openness of the leadership, where the leadership take an image of a father figure that everybody is like his child, and he doesn't have to consider or listen to the opinion, and this is where we are. So I think the leaders or Nigerians should learn a lesson, especially now that we are under democratic dispensation, that consultation and responding to the wishes of the people is the only way out of the system. Anything, if the leader thinks that he can just do his own wishes at the expense of the followership, we will have a crisis like the way we had that of June 12.
All right, another thing that seems to have happened in the past that may just be some regrets as well is a 1966 coup, and it says, Ohaneze demands apology, 10 trillion naira compensation to Igbo. What's your take on this?
I think they are going to open a can of worms. The issue is, if you look at the nature of the coup, obviously it has, tribal inclination. And, who is going to pay them? Why are they asking? Are they asking the North, for that, what do you call it, resort? Or if you now start talking about it, the Northerners and other people whose leaders were killed, and what happened will now open these things. Like I think, to me, we should let bygone be bygone. At least when we fought the war, and the government then came out and said it was like a conflict between brothers. There is no victor, there is no vanquish. And now if you open it, I think they are going to open a lot of problems for Nigeria. The same thing with June 12. June 12 is not the only coup that we had in Nigeria. I think we should let it go because, we have so many coups. By the time you start raising all these issues, I'm sure even others will now raise the same issue and will make it. After all, the Igbos should know that if there is anybody to be blamed, I don't want to blame anybody, but the coupists who put us into this problem. And the mistake made by Iransi was when they were called for him to punish those who staged the coup, he refused. And that is why there was this problem. So I think we, like I said, let them not open a can of worms and put Nigeria in more crisis than it will get out of.
I mean, 1966 is a long time ago. That's that's almost 60 years, actually. So, that sometimes just allow sleeping dogs lie. I want to believe, but what do I know? All right, another story here on The Guardian says 2027, APC warns Tinubu of Southeast risk as El-Rufai seek alliances to rescue Nigeria in court. And in fact, on The Punch, it leads with APC-PDP clash as El-Rufai woos opposition parties. The writer here says, ruling party berates Kaduna ex-governor for romancing PDP bigwigs others. Your take, please.
Yeah, I think the issue is quite okay. El-Rufai may be disgruntled, and that is why he's raising this. And maybe it is part of his own political ambition that he wants to be something in Nigeria. which is okay as far as our laws of the land are concerned. Everybody has the right to contest any position that he wants to contest. But to me, I think the whole issue is not everybody, but is the policies of the government. Actually, even though 2027 is a little far ahead, the government should be worried. There are concerns, there are problems, there are complaints about the policies of the government. Let the government not be derailed by focusing only on the opposition. They should focus on Nigeria. The policies, like I said, have generated such a concern from Nigeria, especially the issue of insecurity, and the issue of poverty, inflation, unemployment, and so many things that put the ordinary Nigerian in a very difficult, in a hard situation. The standard of living has deteriorated. So these are the things that the government should be worried about, not the talk of trying to form the opposition. If the government were to rescind its own policies, to retrace and now face the challenges of Nigeria, I don't think they have to worry about the opposition. But if they don't, they are really, empowering the opposition, whether it is El-Rufai or Atiku or anybody who Nigerians see to have alternative solution to their own problem. I think that is where they have to go. So the government should be worried about the Nigerian situation, to me, more than what the opposition are saying.
Exactly, because if you're doing the right thing, you're not going to be looking over your shoulder that, is the opposition coming for me? At the end of the day, what Nigerians want, is a nation that is, progressive, is a nation that is well developed, and leaders that, are empathetical to their own needs and thinking of ways to ensure that everything you do improves the standard of living for Nigerians. So if Nigerians can have these benefits, right, I think they would vote for you again, because if they see that the government is working, nobody's going to put sugar in your mouth and you want to spit it away and say, I want bitter leaf. No, you would always go for that sugar. So if, the government is working right now, that's definitely what people will want. And I think both the opposition, because of course the opposition needs to play a strong role in ensuring that the current administration is doing what needs to be done. So everybody in government, please, what we need from you is just to ensure that we have the basic necessities of life. And I don't think that is too much for anyone to ask for. All right, let's look at another story here on The Punch. It says, Southwest government lack power to stop Sharia panel. And that's according to a Kwara judge. In fact, this was one of the stories last week, whereby they were saying they want the Sharia law, which is already existing in northern Nigeria, but they want to bring it into the southwest states of Nigeria. And one of the questions that people asked was, how is it going to work? And what's the need, especially if we already have our conventional courts? Why do we still need the Sharia law here? And for people who, at least the Southwest people are known to be very liberal. You can see a person who is a Muslim who is married to a Christian. In fact, our president, has that already. We can see an example there whereby the president is Muslim, but his wife is a Christian. So how is this going to work in the Southwest states where a lot of people are Christians, or they're very liberal and they have Christians amongst them? I want to get your take, even though this Kwara judge has already said that they do not have the power to stop it.
Yeah, you see, people are making much ado about nothing. When the issue of Sharia come out, people think that by the time northern state have Sharia, everybody will be compelled to go to that court. If we understand the basis of it, I don't think it will generate such controversy like it is generating now. One, the fact is that the Constitution has guaranteed and allowed everybody's right of religion. Nobody will try to impose his own religion on over others. That is one thing. Secondly, since it is part of the constitutional thing, one should not try to, harp on it unnecessarily so that it creates tension. And thirdly, is the fact that even in Southwest, what they wanted to have is not a court like that. It's like an agency where if there are issues pertaining to Sharia, they can now sit down and give their own judgment. So I think had it been people understand the whole thing, that look, the Sharia only affects the Muslims. And even in Muslim, it is only when you decide to take the case to the Sharia court that it will take this decision. Issues like marriage, issues like inheritance, these are things that the Muslim, believe, and that if you have marital thing between you, between families, they can go to Sharia, because our marriages are based on Sharia. So we cannot go to any other place to say decide on that. So,
but how about marriages that are, Prof? So how about marriages that are that are not the same? They are not of the same religion.
Yeah, you see, even if you are not of the same religion, that is what happened. Unless the parties agree to take it, nobody will force you to go and take the case to this. Okay, so it's only people who have that belief, who want to take it to the Sharia court, that they will take it. And it is a board that will come and discuss issues and now a proper judgment or solution to it. So I think let people understand, even if we have it, it doesn't mean it is going to be imposed on anybody. People who are willing, who are interested, are those ones who will take their case to it. For example, on inheritance. We have a system of inheritance based on religion, based on Islamic principles, and there is a formula for sharing. All you do is, if there is somebody is deceased, his family will take the issue to that one, and they will now interpret and divide the estate according to Sharia. So I say it is not going to be forced on anybody. Like what is happening here, I'm talking to you here from KANO, there is Sharia, nobody is compelled to go and go to the Sharia court. Even Muslims, there are cases that they don't want to take to Sharia, they will go to penal court and decide on that. So I think if we are happy on that, we are going to open, like with the word I used before, a can of worms, because people will now start asking, Nigeria is a quote unquote, it's supposed to be a secular state, but there are other issues that are not Islamic and which the Muslim observe, okay? They observe it like weekend, Sundays, like Christmas, like so many things that we do. We don't care. All we know is that let let bygone be bygone, or let the sleeping dog die. Everybody has his own belief, and that is one principle in Islam. There is no compulsion. You cannot compel anybody to come to Sharia court.
All right, thank you for that. Let's look at the Nigerian Tribune. It leads with proposed taxes on free trade zone, and it says $200 billion foreign investment may leave Nigeria, Nasima warns. The writer here says over 600,000 jobs at risk. It's also on The Guardian as well. On The Guardian, it says Nigeria may lose $200 billion, FDIs, 600,000 jobs. Nasima warns as federal government taxes free trade zone. I want to get your take on this, because if we're going to be losing $200 billion, that's a whole lot of money. And I know that last year, the government was celebrating the fact that unemployment rate has dropped, even though that's on paper. We can't really see that reflect in our daily lives or in our current reality. But if this is to happen, an additional 600,000 jobs would be at risk. What does that mean for the economy?
You see, the issue of tax, the more a government push about taxation, it is going to be like what they say, being penny wise and pound foolish. Because anywhere you look at it all over the world, where you have excessive taxes, the people and companies tend to migrate to, more conducive atmosphere, more conducive environment. So by the time the government calculate this is what we are going to get, many industries will close shop. They will migrate and move to another place, like I said. And eventually, you see what I've said, being penny wise and pound foolish. Because by the time you are able to get this amount of money, you will lose more than that in millions. Like what is going to happen, like what Nasima said about these billions that are going to leave Nigeria. So that is what the government should do. They should take into consideration that, look, pushing for more taxes, it is counterproductive. And we should also take a lesson that there is no country that, developed by increasing tax. Even countries like America, like the West, they try to now have a more liberal kind of taxation than the way we are looking at it. So what I'm saying basically is, let's take the recommendation of IMF and World Bank with a pinch of salt. Their own concern is how do they recuperate their own money. Not they are interested in developing Nigeria. So we have to look at it. Like here in Kano, we have so many textile industries, but now they have migrated. They moved to our neighbor. Ghana is doing well. Ghana is trying to cut taxes, and that is why it is attracting investment there. So taxation is also counterproductive to the policies of the government of attracting foreign investors. Foreign investors will not come where you split almost virtually your gain equally with the government.
So I know that free trade zones are, areas where goods can be imported and re-exported, and then of course you don't pay custom duties. And the reason why they create this is to ensure, we can attract investment, we can create jobs and all of that. So I don't know how this, proposed taxes are to work there, because if you're looking at people to come in, because that's something that we've always been wanting, whereby foreign investors can come in. If we're looking for ways for them to come in and we're already putting these taxes, it might just drive them away. And then, like you said, counterproductive. We might be losing it all at the end of the day. All right, let's look at the business NG. The business NG leads with multiple ATM withdrawal charges, spark concern as March 2 approaches. So, of course, I'm sure you've already heard the story whereby they're going to be charging the ATMs right now. And one of the questions that we asked was, even the ATMs, they don't have as much cash as that people would need. And most times people have to go to the POS operators. Of course, that's not going to double. And most times, in other countries, you can go into a bank and they even want your money because they know they're going to be trading with your money. They don't have maintenance fees. We already have so many charges that we pay in Nigeria. In fact, as of yesterday, my account was still debited with 150 naira for stamp duty or something like that. So what does this mean right now? The fact that they're already putting this out there and now people are having concerns with it.
Yeah, you see, one thing is, like I said about taxation, this is another way of doing that. And two, if you look at it, it is only in Nigeria where you even tax the unemployed. Okay, but through this process. Sadly, this policy is counterproductive to the government policy of cashless, economy. Because by the time you have this, people will try to avoid going to that. And third, fourthly, this is injustice, because you are only robbing the poor people and paying the bankers and others in terms of that. You are not transparent instead of the other way around. And purposely, it is only in Nigeria where people buy their own currency. Literally, if you look at what is happening, you are buying the naira because you don't have ATM, there will be charges here, the money is there, you go to POS and you pay. So you are literally buying the naira. By the time you do certain calculation, if you have, let's say like 100,000 in your bank, and you keep on paying taxes, you see at the end of it, the real value of that 100,000 will be maybe about 90,000 to you. because you have to pay, ATM charges, you have to pay POS, and there are maintenance charges. There are all sorts of taxes that are coming. So by that time, you are now taking it from even the unemployed, and which is counterproductive, which is also unfair and unjust, where the government and they will now be supporting only the powerful, the rich, and empowering them more and impoverishing the poor people.
All right, another story on, which would be our final one on the business engine, says Nigeria's solar industry faces collapse as US aid withdraws support. So, of course, we're already suffering from epileptical electricity supply, and whereby we already have about 80 million people, which is a 40% of our population, lacking electricity. And, of course, this move was something to, help us with the access to affordable power. But with this withdrawal now, we don't know what's going to happen. Your take, please.
Yeah, you see, I think to me, we should learn a lesson. This should make us to stand and on our own feet.
Yeah.
If you look at the whole foreign contribution or aid, put it in the total, it is not up to 10% of our budget. Every year, this is not up to 10%, but they control, they dictate everything. So this is time for us to now be self-reliant and stand on our own. Do we have to now stand because they have withdrawn it and say this system is going to collapse? The same thing happened with, medical sector. The minister was saying other things will suffer because of the withdrawal. Realistically speaking, if you look at their contribution, it's not up to 10%. We are the one who contribute to 90%. So why are we making such a noise about it? I think this should teach us to be self-reliant. We should be independent. Let them take away to me, as far as I'm concerned, let them withdraw these aids. After all, look at what is happening. Now, from their own admission, the senator, came from Pennsylvania. He was saying that even part of the aid that we are receiving is what has been used to finance Boko Haram. So do we now look at that one and forget all the problems and that are attached with the aid? So I think, to me, this is a good omen. Let them withdraw, let them leave us, let us be more independent and try to be self-reliant on our own.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I mean, China was able to do that. They closed their borders. They decided that they wanted to be independent. They did everything from scratch. And look at China now. China is basically made in China to the world. So why can't we do that? Why can't we find ways to be independent? And I swear to you, we'll be better for it. Anyways, this is where we have to wrap it up on this segment right now. Professor, I want to say thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure having you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Same to you.
All right. We're speaking with Professor KAMILU FAGE. He's from the Department of Political Science, BAYERO University, KANO. And we've just been looking at the stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. We'll go on a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing the Osun local elections. Please stay with us.